Hello everyone and welcome to the Euro Halo Kickoff, and I'm here back with Vanadam once again. And yeah, again, another series where it's one-to-one, not on the, pedestal in terms of like being able to qualify, but not on a loss either. They're in that kind of purgatory kind of period. But we're going to get straight into our next series between Legion Esports and Outsiders to find out who's going to go 2-1 or 1-2 in this Swiss format. Kicking things off at Aquarius CTF. And as you can already see, 3 already down for Legion Esports. Outsiders getting a nice styling strategy there, going for that overshield and a nice pickup there to be able to supply. But it looks like it will not be happening as Frenzy managed to steal it. And let's see what it can do with Ovi pushing towards their util.
Yeah, I'm excited for this game. I think both teams have shown that they've definitely got the potential to take a series off someone in this Swiss. And as the fight starts to break out on top, Frenzy fight for his life, trying to use the thruster, not able to shoot while thrusting, but still managed to get the kill anyway. Snagger just finishing off the kill top mid there. This is going to be a good one. I think this is going to go to a game 3.
Would not surprise me. Let's see what Outsiders can do here to potentially make that happen. Well, I say make that happen. They be like a 2-0 like any other team, just to make it short and sweet and be able to crack on with the next series. But let's see how this is going to go as we switch over to Light Axel. He's been performing quite well so far, not just in this series, but in previous matches leading up to this series. Going 3-2 so far. Lovely shots coming out, and he's going to be pushing through to that util. Double along with it as well. Looking to see if he can do a little bit more damage on towards the flag, but decides to hold util and does manage to get one for his troubles. Yeah,
just so you're aware, the team names at the top are actually the wrong way around. Outsiders are playing as the blue team, Legion Esports is the red team with VanadamYT, Zid and Light Axel. So as we're sort of holding out in util, you can see the pacing from this game is much more different from the BH3 game that we had earlier on. Both teams are started fighting out for some form of hold on the other team's base, but it's much less centered around top mid and sort of the rat runs around Aquarius. This one's focused much more in the util area because they're trying to. I'm assuming they're going to try and run the flag that way. And as the overshield's coming up with 2 players down for Outsiders, Voltas is going to run this flag. And if his team if Boldo can manage to pick up the overshield, that's going to be a significant issue for Outsiders. But he did have 2 players on his team down at the time.
He certainly did indeed, going 7-3 and was actually running the flag, but sadly drops it in the meantime as Snagger's holding the angle so far, but also trying to provide that vital support, which he manages to do so. Doesn't get the beat down, and that's going to cost him dearly. Now Frenzied picking up the combo, best time to use it, and he, oh goodness me, that was such an important trade for him and the entire team. So that's the overshoot he doesn't have to deal with, and Baldo now is looking to try and get one more out of a tally, which he does to that kill feed with another double.
Yeah, the plasma pistol on the overshield is like the Halo El Clasico. Like if you're running around with that OS, you better bet someone's going to have picked up the old noob combo, and it's a bit of a depressing way for it to be gone, especially when you're trying to get some form of momentum on the map for your team. But right now, 1 player going down for each side, which means the momentum does stay neutral. Manxie trying to get a crossfire into Voti as he's on car 2. Light Axel coming in to try and finish up, does get him, but that's 3 players down for Legion Esports, and it looks like, sorry, for Outsiders, and it looks like we're going to try and get a flagpole here from Axel as he moves up onto the top of the base and sends some shots down to bottom mid, and they pulled the flag and they're moving when 2 players were down.
Manages to put it towards Carbine into U2 now, so it's going to be a little bit safe for the time being. Let's see how long for. No one's actually been trying to pick him off or pick him apart, and I love this as well. Just a quick drop just to get at least 1 kill to his name, and again support him once again. And now adding another, looking to push that flag, and looks like he'll be able to cap that with quite a very comfortable cap, I would say. I think the drop, especially in util, paid dividends and made a huge impact there. So let's see if he's going to continue to do some great work in this map number 1. Slavo knows it's still a best of 3, and Frenzied looking to continue to pile on that damage, but will he be able to continue? No, he does not. Sadly misses the sticky, but he's done more than enough work there for his team now to push on forward.
Yeah, Manxie pushing forward there with his teammate. He's behind Voti, but the overshield's come up and Snagger's going to take it, but the crossfire, you don't expect to be shot from your own base when one of your teammates is alive, and he almost manages to get the double kill as the overshield gets put into his chest by Baldo. Last player alive, he's got some iframes here while his overshield's going up, but he manages to put some players down, and this was a really good turn in momentum, which could have potentially been a flag play. I'm surprised when he walked off the base there, he didn't take the flag with him.
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise, a shock to the system, but one thing that is a shock is Light Axel going 14-6, an absolute tear in this first game, looking to prove himself worthy, and he's done more than that, making a huge impact. Last alive is Snagger, just to add a couple more kills to his name, because he's had a little bit of a slow start, but he's suddenly picking things up as time progresses. And that was a great kill there in terms of his defense.
Yeah, Neb managing to get the assist on someone else and take Snagger out of his base there. 3 players are down for Legion Esports right now, and their flag is in the util, but he's trying to run it back through Light Axel, who's trying to use his 14 and 6 strong arm to stop something from happening. Manages to get 1 kill, sends him back to the respawn screen, trying to get the return. Carside very far away from where the team are coming from right now. They're sort of spawned in the back base area, trying to fight in the closet, but the flag's being run, and at this point, if he gets into the other team's util, you're looking at a cross-map battle to stop that flag from being scored.
The problem is for outsiders, they do already have 2, they could be 3 if he gets cleaned up, and he doesn't. He's still able to stay alive, but the problem is that flag is still in the open. Could be okay here, as he's now pushing on forward. Yes, he does, making it 1 apiece. We're all tied up here in this first map.
When you get that feeling where you know the series is going to be a good one, just both teams scoring 1 flag at this point in the game. We're about sort of halfway through the capture the flag timer right now, and we've seen moments from both teams taking control of the map. We've seen overshields on both sides. Quick Caster Masters, outsiders are in the early 40s on their kills. Legion Esports, they're on around 46 as well, so even the kill tally this game is fairly even between the two.
Certainly is indeed. Fountain's having a great game, going 14 and 10, done a fair amount of objective with it, and Votek Cheat also doing quite well in terms of the slaying department. I assume that is Menzo on a different account, and Light Axel again with that overshield, still going 17 and 8, and he's going to throw it into the courtyard and pull back. I love this play, just to kind of bait his opponents to make a mistake and have a little bit of a wonder to find out where he could exactly be. He managed to clean up 1 and do a huge amount of damage onto the other. So have to see if this is going to work out for the rest of the team, where it looks like sadly it has not. 2 down now for outsiders. Back to Falters to see if he can get this clean up on top. Cop, yes he does. Great shots coming up from him, and the cap coming out from Frenzied. So now Legion Esports looking to try and at least do a little bit more damage across the board, and looks he has done as well. Now to see what Light Axel is up to, still coming up with the mischief on the courtyard, but finally gets taken down after valuing his life quite well in util, and a beautiful double out of Frenzied.
Yeah, Frenzied is really the point of view that we've had here. From Frenzied, you know, we saw him score the flag. He somehow got away with his life on that previous flagpole. I thought he was going to get traded out. A stray shot must have actually missed his Spartan as he was moving around, but it looks like he's going to secure this next flag for his team. But no, he gets taken out from top mid somewhere. Crossfire coming in from somewhere they're not aware of. Maybe Mr. Baldo there, just crouched behind the pillar, top mid. 2 players down for Legion Esports right now. Snagger's trying to get the return. Baldo in front of Light Axel, just missing out. And the assist coming in, and it's 2 players down for outsiders, and the flag has been returned.
Just a bit overzealous with that flag. He's on no shield, his teammates on no shield. I actually saw him get clean up right in front of him, and still decided to continue making that push towards the flag, which is a big mistake, but still made a good run beforehand. But Frenzy, again, trying to stay alive, pull that flag, take it straight to util, looking for the fridge spawns as well, but does he have his teammates to get there in time to support and to keep them back around Pink and Fridge. And you can see already a couple of shots here and there to keep them sweet around P2. 2 down for Legion, 3 down for outsiders though, as Snagger just trying to stay alive as long as possible. But that's all 4 down now, and this is Legion Esports time to get full map control and to continue pulling that flag.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment here while that flag's being run. The way this game's being played, there's so much more gameplay going on in the util area on both sides compared to how many flags we saw get run through the middle with ITB and BH3. The pace of the players is slightly slower than the other games, so because they don't have the time to run the flag across the middle, they're forced to almost take it round the side because they're not setting up and identifying those opportunities as fast. And that's normal because, like, you know, ITB are a really high skill team, so they'll notice those openings much quicker. But it's just interesting to see how a game on Aquarius plays so much differently depending on what type of team that you're watching.
Baldo again getting behind enemy lines, managed to get the flag going through into util, but he's been greeted by one of his opponents and gets a very important trade. Legion Esports now 3 down, but only problem is for outsiders. 2 caps down and 3 minutes left. You can see Nebula doing a huge amount of damage to try and put as much pressure on as possible to put a halt onto this flag run. But goodness me, the nades are coming out thick and fast. But will he be able to cap it? No, he does not. But someone else should be there to cap it. Yes, he does. As Falters was actually the only person left standing with outsiders only having 4 down at the time. This is looking pretty good in terms of a comeback, but Legion now have to deal with this flag run coming out from Legion.
Oh, some nice mechanics with the little slide down the slope there. Yeah, if Altis scored the flag, he was the only person alive on his team, which meant the pressure came in from Legion Esports. 3 of their players just in their util area there. You can't.
That was quick.
You cannot. Yeah, you cannot really just try to fight 3 people. You know, Halo is about the team shot, with the Bandit rifle especially, or the Bandit Evo. You can't just hard peek 3 people at this level. Like, you'll just get absolutely melted. And the momentum looks like it was going back to Outsiders, but Legion Esports capitalizing on that moment of weakness where there was only 1 player on the map.
Baldo stayed off for such a long time. Decided to make that rotation, only gets a trade for his troubles. Frenzied looking to get a little bit leery in their courtyard, but gets cleaned up instantly. But for Outsiders, they need to try and find 2 flag caps in this next minute and a half. It's definitely possible. They've already got 1 on the run already. Have to deal with this P1 player, and will he be able to clean up? This will be huge for him to kind of continue establishing the map control, which they're about to lose. Does get him, which is going to be extremely important, but gets traded instantly. 4 down for Outsiders. This is not looking too good here. This could be a Legion game 1 if his flag pull isn't stopped.
Yeah, you were looking at potentially 1 flag pull and an overtime extension, trying to run the flag to this point now where Legion are actually running that final flag across the map with a minute left. So not only are you trying to score the flag now, but you're trying to stop the other team from ending the game at the same time. And as Frenzied runs in the last flag for this game, he almost gets it, but someone catches him on the way out. It looks like it was the player from Legion there that managed to slide forward. I think that was Neb, maybe? But yeah, first game going over to Legion Esports there. They played that well. I thought that game was going to be close, and it was, but I wouldn't know if Legion would have taken it. I think Outsiders have shown that they're potentially a higher in seeding, I would have thought. Yeah,
we weren't really too sure how this was going to work in terms of both these teams going at it head-to-head, and it's going to mean a lot for both of them, like we said before, both 1-on-1 in terms of the Swiss format, and it's all to play for here. And I do feel like what you saw from Outsiders, it was good to begin with, say, establish some great control. But the problem is on the other side with Legion Esports, their caps were extremely clean from every single time. We didn't feel like they struggled too much. When they established that control and pin him around Fridge, and they're always trying to get out through pink side, they managed to successfully be able to pin him and put a lot of pressure onto him every single time without fail. And the angles they were holding was brilliant, and the coordination for those pushes was outstanding. Then they put him on the other side. With Outsiders, yes, so managed to get a couple of caps, but they were really riding that struggle bus to get anything going. Sometimes when they got a few of the pulls, they were trying to bait their opponents to push into courtyard. They didn't have that full control which was required. They didn't have top mid. They didn't have Enel Tokar, or not all the time someone blocking utils. So that's what really didn't do enough justice for them, and the slaying department's just another one add to the tally here. But I do feel like now going into a Slayer, they can kind of recuperate from what they had to deal with, and hoping not be too demoralised going into this next matchup.
Yeah, definitely. On the flag pulls there, I felt like every time we saw a flag pull coming from Outsiders, it was like the scrappy, like it's the last person alive, desperately trying to pull the flag, and it's not just scoring the flag in CTF, right? The momentum of the game you have to keep it. You can't just throw all your resources at the flag, get team wiped, because then the other team's just going to score a flag and it's like a zero-sum game. Like, great, you're exactly where you were beforehand. Yeah. That's what happened 2 times in that match at least, where you've got the power to take the flag, but then you've got to hold on to that momentum. You can't just let the balance in the game just shift. But enough about the first game. Let's move into the second one. We're going into Slayer on Solitude.
Yeah, let's see how things will go this time around. If Outsiders can claw their way back and tie this series, or it's going to be a Legion Esports show and successfully win this series 2-0, and that will make them 2-1 in this Swiss day today. And just to let everyone know at home, you need 3 wins in order to be able to qualify into tomorrow. We're just trying to get us final 8 teams. And it's been a pretty good day so far. We've seen some crazy bits and pieces here and there. And now we're going to try and find out who is going to be qualifying. We already know Into the Breach qualified. I feel like they qualified without dropping a single map. But let's be honest, are we surprised about that?
That should have happened.
No, that's what. Yeah, it's like you better not drop a game, not just a series. But if it was a series, then we'll be asking quite a few questions. But no, they've been performing really well today, as well as a few of the other teams on top of it. But Slayer on Solitude is what we could be watching next to see who's going to be going for that camo top mid, who's going to be holding that shock, who's going to be able to really dictate the pace and cause a bit of a kerfuffle around the map and collapsing here, there, and absolutely everywhere. It's going to be a good talking point. But one thing I will say is that what we witnessed from Legion Esports is that their adaptation seemed to be a lot better compared to what Outsiders were doing, where we saw more desperation from Outsiders and more adaptation and calm, patient plays coming out from Legion Esports, which is exactly what you need in this kind of scenario.
Yeah, for sure. And I think part of the strategy that Legion Esports want to employ in this is because you've got the shock rifle and you've got a player like Nebula on your team, give him the shock rifle, let him play off the team. He's great at looking at where his teammates are and moving accordingly to support them. If they can lock that down and then get one of their more proactive players to get the camo, Outsiders are really going to have a tough time trying to shut that down with the way that Legion have played so far, as we saw in Aquarius. So game plan for Outsiders, we've got to control the C side of the map. We've got to make sure we get the shock rifle, as you would to win on this map. But especially so with the lineup that Legion have, you can't just let them have that stuff, because the power that they'll have and the way it'll lock you down on a map like this, it will just basically end the game.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that not just about stats, but one thing I always look for in a player is their productivity in terms of how proactive they are on the map. There's some players who get quite a few amount of kills, don't get me wrong, but you don't see enough damage done. The objectives like lacking heavily. So again, you can see that's more the stats department, but it's the productivity and how proactive you are around each and every single map. Solitude is a great example of this. You have to be extremely aware about what needs to be done and how to execute a lot of your game plans. And now for the likes of Outsiders, they do not want to go 1 and 2. It's going to be quite abysmal. Don't get me wrong, you know, they're not completely out. They're all right. You know, they're still sitting pretty 1-on-1. Even though they were 1 and 2, they just need to win 2 series back to back, and we'll have to play against someone of a lower seeding. But yeah, it's a different kettle of fish when you don't want to be in that 2-2 scenario where you have to, you know, it's all to play for, and then that's when the pressure's on, panic, nerves.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I could be out day one. It's one of those things, isn't it? But yeah, we'll find out shortly when we head into this game. And thank you for your patience at home. We'll be heading to game number 2 very shortly. And it seems like we'll be back with game number 2 shortly. We're just seeing how the players are getting on. We'll be having a restart, and then we'll be moving on to this second game. Hopefully a third, because I don't think I haven't casted a third game yet. And I'm not going to lie, mate. I'm a bit of an eager beaver to like get into a final game through.
Yeah, so on that note, we're going to go over to a tech break. We're going to wait. We're going to let these teams think about what's happening while we're getting the computer sorted out so we can get this game streamed to you guys. But Solitude on Slayer, other way around, Slayer on Solitude will be our next game, and we'll be back right soon. Don't go anywhere.
Very patient souls in chat, and here we go. Outsiders, Legion Esports, Legion up 1-0. As we kick things off, starting off from Light Axel's perspective. He had an incredible run on Aquarius CTF, huge amount of slays. And now looking to potentially do the same. Looking to stay alive, could take out that player bottom mid, but was not able to. But Falters managed to take down Manxie pretty comfortably. Just a quick trade. And Falters still able to stay alive, but thank goodness he's got the support. 2v1, we'll have that. Thank you very much. Snagger does get cleaned up. Sorry, Snagger takes down Light Axel.
Yeah, that was a super harsh outcome. I don't know if you saw there, but as the respawns came in, the Outsiders team spawned in Flowers, and the entire Legion team spawned on Tower. So all of the Outsiders team came to help him to secure that last kill. Meanwhile, the player on Legion Esports got absolutely clubbed by 4 people. So that was an unfortunate side effect of the spawns. There was only 2 people on the map. They were playing a 1v1 for about 5 seconds there, but as they're trying to spread out to take some space here, we trying to live up on the back of the frag grenades here, but no, gets taken out by the plasma grenade. Not quite far enough to be the Hail Mary, but it was pretty far across. 2 people hiding up in the back of blue here. Snagger trying to play his life against Manxie and his teammate who's just moved onto bridge. And the players are everywhere at this moment. There's no clear sign of like who's trying to set up anywhere. There's so many small-scale sort of fights going on the map right now.
Yeah, Manxie had a bit of a slow start in that last game, but don't get me wrong, he did play a huge support role. He did have a lot of assists on his back, but looking much better in the slaying department this time round. It's Snagger just making that rotate around to see if he can find any more around the shock, which he does. Some good shots coming up for him. Was quite keen to be a little bit more aggressive to try and finish that up, but he got called instantly and then traded out as Better Cheap Motor actually gets it clean up there. I keep saying that name, but I know it's Menzo on a different account. Confusing the hell out of me, but that's fine, that's fine. We'll let him crack on.
Only a 2-point deficit. This game continues to be as close as the CTF was as well. And we've got a lot of fights breaking out in loop right now. Legion are trying to hold some form of tram and through LR, but no. He finds himself with 2 players in front of him, taken out, sent back to the respawn screen. Mr. Baldo and Snagger need to do something here to slow the game down, and they do exactly that. They just halt their push completely. Light Axel finds 2 players. Outsiders split on 2 sides of the map right now. Legion Esports finding themselves only 1 player alive. Maxley's the last person, but he's going to go in for the fight here on the back of Truck, and he manages to get it, saving his team a point on the scoreboard. Remembering, Slayer, you are the objective, and you must play that way. This isn't capture the flag. So with that said, 21-18.
Yeah, who would have thought it, eh? Legion Esports are trailing behind, but wouldn't surprise me if they made some kind of miraculous comeback. Frenzied having a little bit of a slow start, which is quite uncharacteristic of him, considering what we've seen in the previous couple of series. And Snagger just trying to stay alive. I've noticed that Manxie and Snagger didn't have the best of starts in game number 1, but they've just completely turned it on its head. It's like we're watching in 2 entirely different players in this Solitude game. And Falter's very keen to try and find someone with that shock, but he will find 2 players around Yard. Managed to get 1. He will be able to get the second. No, he doesn't, but he could have get the double anyway, which he does. Huge play coming up from him to support the rest of the team. But this is not looking too good here. We've got 3 players looking to pounce onto those 2 Legion Esports members there. Snagger managed to get another. And Light Axel, I was going to say getting the camo uncontested, but someone finally managed to get eyes and cleans him up. Huge, huge play. Because, of course, you don't want to let them get any kind of comeback or even potential lead extension. It's Baldo just trying to stay alive, but it's looking pretty good here for Outsiders. Entirely different team from what we saw compared to Aquarius CTF.
Yeah, they're managing to collapse very efficiently. We've not seen much of the shock rifle played in this game, but Dull coming in on the ramp, the 5-shot, they're just shutting down Falters as he gets sent back to the respawn screen, I believe. And 2 versus 2 on the map again. I think one of the things that's helping Outsiders here to keep the lead is the way they're moving around and being efficient with spawns and things. They're definitely collapsing efficiently. We've seen a little bit of the shock rifle earlier on where they used the collapse to get some damage in and then clean up, and that extended their lead. Now we're in a lead of 10. They're living up. They're trying to push, but look, Falters is moving away. Does get cleaned up, and because he was split away from his teammates, I think he was looking for somewhere to go, but Legion were all over the seaside of the map, so he was kind of stuck.
Yeah, stuck in a rock in a hard place. And that goes for Frenzied as well. Sadly going 3-11, but there's quite a few occasions I've been watching him try and create that entry point in order to cause a bit of a catastrophe and a bit of a chaotic mess for his opponents, but it's just not been capitalised. Run the struggle bus a little bit compared to that last game, but I'm sure we'll see a bit more of him at some stage. It's Menzo going 8-6 with 7 assists. Trying to mark his territory around Yard, but it will be greeted by those players around CAF. He's got 3 members of CAF and 1 on shock. They need to push out, and it seems like they're waiting for the opponents to come to them, or they're not really, a little bit undecisive on how they're trying to make that initial push.
Oh, I don't think they expected that. Neb came in to help Manxie with the push, and just as he slid under, he didn't realise that 2 members of Outsiders were waiting. Crosshairs primed for his visor, and they ended up losing 2 players for nothing there. This lead of 10 points that Outsiders hasn't really gone anywhere for the last couple of minutes. I feel like Legion are trying to find space in the Outsiders formation, and they're not really finding it. And even now, the lead's extending, and 3 players have gone down, so plenty of momentum space for Outsiders to just close the game, really. Snagger finds himself in a fight against Light Axel, who gets sent back as well. So with that said, I think Outsiders are ready to move on to game 3.
Yeah, they seem quite keen to go into the next game and trying to make up for the mishaps which occurred on Aquarius CTF. Falter's still doing so much damage. Oh, the baiting switch is beautiful, but the grenade was just a little bit better coming up from Legion, but too late now as Menzo does have that camo. And it's just a matter of time before he sends one of them to the Shadow Realm and themselves into game number 3. There we have it. So, let's be honest. I don't think we expected the scoreline to be that drastic in comparison to what we witnessed. And also, it's nice to see a bit more from Menzo and a bit more from Manxie as well. Because we, like I said before, you know, they're supporting quite well, but the slaying was a bit, you know, it could have been a little bit better. But that was an entirely different ball game, night and day difference from what we saw compared to the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like Outsiders were really great at supporting each other much more openly in the map. You know, in the first game we said a lot about they were going all in on objectives, and they were literally using everything they had and giving up an advantage they had to score flags and things. In this game of Slayer, not the case. I felt like there was a lot of times where they got a lead on Legion, then they collapsed efficiently. We saw the collapse on Yard, where I think we were with Baldo, who had the shock rifle. He got 2 shots in. The rest of the team collapsed from driveway. 3 kills for 1. it was plays like that gave them the game. Really, it was I wouldn't say a very different Outsiders, but it was a more confident Outsiders that were playing more proactively.
Yeah, they certainly were indeed. In Solitude, it can be quite difficult in a lot of ways to be that proactive, depending on where your team's been placed, where you're spawning, how to try and be more proactive with the damage around the map, and how to distribute it well enough so that you're not really getting any dead air in terms of damage. Because there's a lot of damage you can output, don't get me wrong, but if you can't capitalise on that kind of scenario, then there's not really much point for it. But it seemed to be that they were coordinating really well. They seemed more eager and they were aggressive at the right times. But the problem for Legion Esports is they're a little bit more off-key. They've got that offensive and defensive balance a bit skew with, especially during the second half of that game. Yeah, sure, they were still doing the little thing, well, not say little things, the big things like contesting the power-ups, trying to get that camo away from them. But it just felt a little bit flat towards that second half, which was a bit of a shame. But it does mean we go to game number 3, which is the first one we're going to have. And it's been quite a long time. We've been waiting for a game 3 for quite
it's about
for
time,
quite a while now. So yeah, we need to get our getting our teeth into the final game, and it's going to be King and Hill on live fire, so it should be quite a spicy one.
Yeah, I feel like now we've got this intermediate kind of game, like King and the Hill. You can't just play Hill because then the other team gets the map, but you can't just play map because then the other team gets the Hill. So we've got this middle ground. In your experience, when you're in a series and it's 1-1, how do you feel when you're the team that won the first game and lost the second game? Like, when have you been like that, and what have you had to kind of do?
If that happened to me, if I lost game number 2, probably go for a toilet break, let the momentum kind of like dwindle a little bit.
Yeah.
And then hopefully when they come back, they're quite calm. And it's like, well, okay, yeah, they seem to be like, not as hyped as about, in compared to like 5 minutes ago. But that's just my take. As we now head into game number 3, is Maxi already off to a great charge here with those first 2 kills. 2 down for Legion, but 3 down for Outsiders. And Legion seem to be a little bit better in terms of their objective mindset. And this is looking pretty damn good already with the QT now inside B. And the world is their oyster here. It's just a matter of how Outsiders are now going to collapse and break this setup from Legion.
I really like how Legion proactively set up on C. You could see that they had Light Axel in A and they had 2 players on C, so they were kind of forcing like the screen spawn onto Outsiders. It doesn't like it's quite worked out how they wanted it, because I think they wanted Hill and Camo with the 4th player in the Hill. But I like that they're trying to strategically do things like that this early in the game to show that they want to win this game 3.
Yeah, they certainly do. They had a great display of skill in terms of on the Aquarius CTF of how they worked with the objective. This is a little bit different, but I'm sure they're going to be consistent enough anyway. As in terms of slays, you can see the Outsiders are edging them ever so slightly, even though the hill time doesn't represent it. But this is what I mean. They need to have more objective efficiency around the map and be a bit more proactive in that department. But you can see Legion, I love this as well. They've got sandbags and big door, but they've not really made a push onto B as of yet. They're just playing patient to try and get at least 1 pick before making that initial execution. Yeah,
and Frenzied was trying to bait him out and get something going on C to try and cause like a gap in the formation. Someone on bridge from Nest potentially having to look towards C, but it didn't quite work out in his favour. But actually, now that he's respawned and he's come back, Frenzied is now able to get a triple kill on the hill, making it so that Volters is the last player alive, and he's fighting to stop this time going on, because if he manages to get this while his team's down, this could make it so Legion get very close to scoring the first hill of the game. Snagger's trying to stop him. Nev's playing his life brilliantly, gets the double kill, gets back in the hill, playing his life really efficiently and rotating around to boxes. Maybe someone behind will stand the hill, and they do, and that's the first point over to Legion Esports.
Yeah, I don't know where Frenzied was last game. I couldn't find him, but now he's actually slaying pretty damn well considering the position he's in right now. But the first hill does go to Legion. A couple of missed spike grenades, but let's be honest, it's happened to the best of us. I've definitely tried a few times and failed miserably. As Baldo now, we're going to be sticking from his perspective to try and bait and switch around bottom middle and just try and feed his team some info to find out exactly what on earth is going on, because he can't find anyone at this stage, but he's going to be finding a couple of players from Legion making that initial rotation from back C. And I love this as well. Managed to claw his way back, got tower control once again. Camo is up, and it's a matter of who is going to get it. It's going to be a 2v1, but probably a 2v2 as Bordeaux is actually getting drilled from behind. But this camo is going to be so important. But it looks like Outsiders were able to grab it. Trying to pull back with the QT, but the shots coming up from Bordeaux is pretty good, apart from his last couple. Does clean him up initially, but will he expect another one at tire? I think he's got the info required, but it's going to have to go the long route. But now he's surrounded by 2 players. How on earth has Bordeaux not been taken down yet? He's still able to value his life to this degree.
Yeah, the amount of pressure he was putting on to Legion there, like just shooting all the different members of the team, try and stop them from returning fire on him. That was really well played from his part. And while I did want to say that Legion were holding the map, they were focusing on map positioning. The amount of times they've been on tower, you know, we saw Neb up there, and then we saw the player who had the QT up there as well. But it didn't quite work out in their favor. The pressure, you know, Baldo playing his life manages to get so much time on the hill here. And with S7 in hand, Frenzy has got a very, you know, a very large hill to climb. No pun intended this one, but you cannot let outsiders touch the hill now. If you get 2 or 3 players down and they touch it, that's it. And he just misses the headshot, but no, manages to get him the second time. Can they hold out for the rest of this hill? There is no space for error on this second hill of the game.
This is probably the one hill where you can take full control in terms of the map presence and claw your way back, which is why they're quite keen on being able to do so. But sadly, they don't. That was so close. But in the end, it will be outsiders who will tie things up in this third and final game, with Forters now already in the hill, sitting comfortably, pitching that tent in A, and going to be seeing how they're going to try and stop this push coming up from Legion, because this is fast and furious. So they all spawn B, but Baldo's like, absolutely not. Double for me. And this could potentially be another hill for outsiders if they continue to play how they're playing right now.
Yeah, and the teams are going to have to consider how they play these next 20 seconds or so, because camo will be up, so dying to push the hill and then giving away the camo will greatly affect what happens in the next minute or so, and that's how far you have to think ahead sometimes. Maxi knows this, and he's trying to live up around the back of the screen while Baldo, being the only player arrived, tries to get him, and he should not have been able to get him there. 2v1. Neb also misses, gets a double kill. Frenzy stopping this madness from happening. Maybe they're going to try and get the active camo now. Light Axel on the turbine does indeed pop it. 30 seconds of invisibility for me, thank you very much. But now, outsiders have taken control of A, so Legion are going to have to put this camo to use. That was a steep cost.
It certainly was. Oh no, Light Axel sadly lost that camo. And again, a uncharacteristic stats coming out from him after what we witnessed from him in the first 2 games. But I expect him to, you know, at least be able to stabilize during this course of the game. But I hope he doesn't take too long, because we've only got a few minutes left. And I must say, Baldo going 14 and 6. Just, guy needs to have a breather, but he's going absolutely all gas, no break this game. And it's the best time for it in the third and final game. But you can see already outsiders trying to get that hill time away from Legion Esports. They've already covered 2/3 of it. And they know that one set of team deaths is going to cost them this hill as well. But Menzo now rotating back around, a few spikes around camo, as he is well aware that someone is around there. But Legion Esports, again, one of their players just valuing their life down to a T.
Yeah, outsiders really spread far then. The S7 coming up, Neb was living up on turbine. I feel like their formation was very wide there, which has given Legion some time to come back and get the hill. And with the scores on this third hill being as close as they are, I wouldn't say I'm surprised that happened, but I feel like there was a game plan there that maybe they didn't fully execute, and Baldo's is trying to do something. He manages to almost get away, taking Light Axel down, but then getting traded out. And now we've got Neb with the S7, so I've said a few times this series, Neb with the sniper and how he plays supportively. Is this going to be the linchpin in the strategy? No, it's not. Caster's Curse says he's going to do something and he dies. Sorry, Neb, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? But here we are, 4th hill of the game. This one down in the river.
Yeah, Frenzy looks a little bit keen with a snipe, even though he's made a few shots. Go on, just get one for us. Get one. Looks like he's still going to be quite patient about it. But main thing is he's getting hill time. Both have 1 player's dead on each side, making that 2. But for Legion Esports, if they take this hill, it's going to be such a difficult task now for outsiders to claw 3 in a row back. And we're well aware of that, especially on a map like Livefire and when B comes up next. Oh, great snipe anyway. Getting very important trade. 3 down now on the side of outsiders. And Legion Esports have that time to now sit up around C, around tower, and just to keep a close eye on anyone coming from B side.
Yeah, and Legion Esports have the opportunity now to not necessarily desperately go into the hill, as Voigt is trying to live up to get this active camo, and he indeed does. So potential advantage for outsiders here if he can live up, but Light Axel doesn't want to let him get away. Going in for the melee trade, not quite getting it. Both players just windmilling it round and even getting a friendly grenade from the top of Cuts thrown there. Bit messy, but 3 players are down for Legion. So I was going to say here, Legion have time to play the map. They need to play the hill, but they can play the map. Outsiders have to touch the objective to even tie the game at this moment. So I wonder what they're thinking right now in terms of game plan. They obviously will win, but you don't want to throw away a lead by just standing in the hill when you need to slay.
Well, this is it, and Light Axel has actually stepped his game up massively in the last couple of minutes, which is exactly what the lads on Legion Esports required. QT comes out. managed to get cleaned up. Get a few more shots onto Tower, which is going to be huge. Sally could not take him down, but hopefully he's done enough damage for someone on his team to finish up around Tower. But this hill's been very back and forth. Snagger gets one, looking for the second. Oh, no. So important. This could be an outsider's hill. Yes, it is. And we're now 2 apiece on this final game. We've only got a couple of minutes left, and this tower control could be so important for outsiders. They need to stay alive. They need to be proactive, and they can't give away any city deaths at this stage. It looks like Nebula's already got that tower control, and this is going to be huge for Legion if they're going to get this 3rd hill.
And what better way to have this hill on the 3rd game of the best of 3, with both teams at 2, the S7's coming up, the death box of all places being the last hill, the nade hole. If you can control the top of tower, that is going to give you some serious presence on the map. And 4 players have indeed gone down for outsiders with the S7 available. So sniper in hand, Manxie looking for the spawns. They weren't exactly positioned for him to spawn out that way. You could just see on the corner of the screen there, Baldo's trying to get a push onto Nebula from the back of River, but they're not having it. Lyaxel's gone down to try and do something about it, and falters with the support again. B side of the map again. We saw Snagger push it last time. Outsiders are good at coming up this way, but they're just letting them have the hill. It's going to be the 3rd hill for Legion.
I know. Someone's got to tell them Christmas was a month ago. Stop giving it with these free giveaways and that. It's absolutely ridiculous. But Legion Esports, as soon as I saw Nebula take that tower earlier on, I was like, okay, this could be a serious issue, and it's going to be very difficult to break that setup, which eventually they didn't. And some good snipes coming out there. Manxie now going to try and push through Big Door, as outsiders are well aware that they've only got a minute 23 left on the clock, but it's a B hill, so we're expecting this to go all the way. I'm not expecting Legion to try and put a hold onto them going for the hill or anything like that, or try and waste time. Not really any need for it. Snagger has been taken down, and Baldo has taken down Frenzied there. But looking at the slays, there's not really too much of a difference here. A lot of support and assists coming out on the side of outsiders, but yeah, that wasn't looking too good there for Menzo, but yes, he came straight back and cleans them out. As 2 down now for outsiders. But just remember, though, look at the hill time they've got in comparison.
Yeah, the mind games there. He was frantically trying to hit the camo player, and then he just comes back and gets the double beat down. That's so annoying. But then, you know, I did some maths on the kills here, and outsiders were actually leading on kills, even though they're behind in hills. So the movement of Legion, the way they're playing the objective, is causing them to win the game right now. But both teams are roughly half on this hill. So again, fighting for tower controllers. 5 players across the game are now dead. The way these respawns come in is going to be really important, because it's going to affect how you push onto the middle of the map. And as we can see, outsiders are moving to take the sandbags, the tower area to get control. But someone is in the hill. Neb doesn't care. He's down here. So with that said and done, this might be the end of the game.
And outsiders were actually completely neutral in slays, but in the end, Legion Esports will be able to take it 4-2. A very close affair. Not just in that game, but the entire series overall, and very back and forth. But it's Legion Esports who will be seen later on in our Swiss play, and currently now up 2-1. But outsiders, I expect them to go a little bit further, bare minimum. They're 1-2, but I expect a lot more from them coming forward, because they know that they're capable of more than that.
Yeah, that was a good showing from Legion towards the end. We had a few moments where outsiders were able to single them out, and play really well into, you know, their individual skill, but unfortunately you can push the B side of the map as much as you want. If the hill's on the other side and Snagger's like crossfiring everyone, it doesn't matter if the other team scores the hill. So yeah, well played from them, but unfortunately Legion just edging out there and managing to take the game.
Yeah, outsiders for that top mid hill had that not full tower control, but enough to kind of stabilize and be able to create that stalemate, which no other team would want to deal with. You know, spawning A, having to try and break tower. It's an absolute pain in the backside. But they both had set up very, very quickly. I mean, Nebula was one of the players to really act as that entry and to initiate it. And he just went straight in and then got top tower, and that was it. It's pretty much game over for them. And that's when you've got that decision where you've got, you know, about minute 30, minute 20 left on the clock. Is it actually worth at this stage on a map like Livefire to not go for the hill and just have a full setup and just work around it? No, you might as well go for the hill at this stage, because at that point in time, there's way too much time left on the clock. It feels like 20 or 30 seconds. It's like 1, maybe 2 clean slays, and then you're perfectly fine. But it's just way too much of an ask to kind of just defend the hill and not go for it, especially when you've got that much time left on the clock. If it was recharge, might be a little bit more of a different story and a bit more debatable, but Livefire, absolutely not. It's way, way too open. But now we're going to head off very quickly. We're going to go for another series soon, but we're going to head to our analysis and the host very shortly. So when we come back, we'll have Oscar and Reed coming back to you to break it all down from that last series.